Good morning, everyone. This is Chief, and we're having another episode with Coffee with Chief. And I have a very special guest today. He hails from Canada, and I believe he's got some skills that we need to hear. We need to find out a little bit more about this man because I'm intrigued. I watched him on Facebook, I saw his YouTube videos, and I said, I want to interview this guy. This guy has the warrior spirit. He's an outdoor enthusiast. He's a survivor. He's I think, a nature guy, right? But talking to Darcy, Low Strategy. He's a friend of mine on Facebook, and he's got a lot of great things that he does. So, coffee with Chief. I have my coffee. Darcy has his tea. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, no, man. Thank you for taking the time to sit down, have some, coffee with me, I'm really excited to hear about your journey as not only as a warrior but as a man. Like I said, I've kind of stalked you and looked at your Facebook and looked at your YouTube videos, and man, you get into a lot of stuff, brother.
Yeah, yeah, I get spread out.
So let's start this off because people may not know you. I know you have quite a following out there, but tell us who you are. Give us a little background of what you do, how you are, your philosophy, and then we'll just take it from there. I have a set of questions I'm going to ask, but sometimes, man, when I'm really interested, I just want to have a conversation with you. So, so tell us who you
Awesome.
are, what you train in, what you do, and maybe a little bit of your experience and so forth.
Um, well, I grew up mostly here in Victoria, BC, which is on the west coast of Canada.
Love Canada, by the way.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Holy. I was lucky enough to go to Boy Scouts when I was a kid. So got kind of the basics of being out in the woods and I noticed, I didn't like a lot of the other people in my Boy Scout troop. I
Hmm.
didn't get along with them, so I'd wander. And I noticed how good I felt when I wandered, in the woods.
Yeah,
Um,
brother. Yeah.
you know, just that calmness that we talked about before, just kind of all the madness stops, and all of a sudden you get centered, and you can think clearly, and your imagination starts to go in a way that it doesn't when you're just around a situation you're not super comfortable with. And so I think for me that really started a lot of things with the woods.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But growing up in the city, I didn't really get to go out that much, and it kind of I didn't really get out to the woods other than camping in the summertime until I was probably my 20s, and then I got back into just going out any time of the year and just doing whatever and really enjoying it.
Right, right. Now I'm telling people that you're outdoors guy, but you're also more than that. I mean, you're also, a martial artist. I mean, you have different arts under your belt. Tell us a little bit about your martial arts journey.
Well, like yourself, I got bullied. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
You saw that video, huh?
yeah, and right away I was like, this sounds really familiar. I had long blonde hair that my mom had made me grow. I had a big blonde mullet, and
Yeah, yeah.
and that was a problem. And then my name is spelled in a way that was different than what, like, a lot of the other kids, the schools I went to, was like, they had names like Dave, and Sean and things like that, or Robbie.
Hmm.
And my name is capital D
Uh-huh.
apostrophe a capital A small RCY.
Yeah, no, I love that name, by the way, man. I was looking at him like, I wonder if that's his real name, because if it's his real name, that's super cool. I mean, I like the uniqueness of things in the world, and that's pretty unique. I love it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was my grandfather's name.
Oh, that's
And
even
but
more badass, dude.
yeah, I hold it with reverence because he was such a cool dude.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
But the kids when I was growing up in elementary school and such, they didn't like that because it was different. And so because of that, it gave me a lot of experience in training.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. Yeah, right. Like I did,
you
right?
know,
Running was my
exactly.
top.
Yeah. And then when I got into when I was in my late 20s, I was working for a guy doing countertops, stone countertops.
Right.
And I'd get into, fist fights once in a while, and
Sure.
came to work and my hands were, they were, you could see the teeth marks and they were just smashed up from a weekend.
Right, right.
And he was like, oh, you're so tough, and I was like, well, not really. I just get into fights.
Right.
And he was like, well, my buddy owns this kickboxing gym. You should come down and check it out and see how tough you are. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm totally game. So I went, and I guess the coach, he was kind of a knucklehead guy himself. And he didn't expect me to have the ingenuity that I had because he didn't
Sure.
understand the experience that I had. I had, hundreds and hundreds of fist fights with sometimes multiple opponents, sometimes with weapons. Like I got stabbed a few times when I was younger in fist
Uh-huh.
fights,
Uh-huh.
got into all kinds of brawls. So I was like, kickboxing, I was like, oh, I was like, so there's two guys. We're about the same size.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
There's a ref. There's a group of medics. I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, I can do this. Like I can totally do this.
This looks like fun, right?
Yeah, this will go good. So I got into it, and then I realized that I wanted more. So I actually started training in MMA. I started looking at. I was doing some submission wrestling. I did a bit of BJJ, and that mixed pretty good with my kickboxing.
Right.
So I had some competitions in MMA,
Uh-huh.
and that was fun. It was always a surprise to my opponents how chill I was,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
to me it was like I had had so many fights where I didn't know if somebody was going to stab me from behind or hit me in the head with a bottle, and now I'm fighting some guy in a very rule orientated conservative bout. I'm like, oh, this is barely a fight. Like this is
Right,
just sparring.
right, right. Funny
That
thing
really
is,
helped.
and I'm gonna bring this up and I'm gonna share my screen, right? Uh where is it? I know you went to Thailand and
Mm.
train at Tiger Muay Thai, right?
Oh yeah.
And to me, uh, I've always wanted to go there and train. In fact, I went there as a military guy and, did the typical, yeah, weekend course, and check it out and so forth, right? But you actually went there and trained. How was that, man?
Oh, it was great, dude. It was great because here's the thing. I went from the kickboxing. I found some real Muay Thai here in town, which is hard to find in North America. And then I went up. I went up north. I got connected. I was living in a small town called Cumberland. It's maybe a few thousand people, if that.
Right.
And that's when I started my real martial arts journey. And that the instructor that I met there, he was really free, really open. So when I told him I wanted to learn Krabi Karbong and
Oh,
Muay Thai,
dude, Krabi Krabrong is one of my passions. I love yielding weapons and using my other limbs with the weapons. I love that part. Ah, dude, we gotta
so
train.
cool, right?
We gotta train,
Yeah, yeah,
man.
one day for sure. 100%, bro. 100%. Yeah, so he was like, because I trained ninjutsu with him, and
Uh-huh.
his base was a mixture of ninjutsu, karate, and judo. So we trained because he was educated in a traditional sense by a sport-based instructor.
Hmm.
So he was taught ninjutsu like we would train a sport martial art.
Right.
Um, so it wasn't hokey. It wasn't based on just kata. Like the second time we trained together with the shinai, he
Yep.
broke my thumbnail right off.
Wow.
Like we played really hard, used almost no equipment. Like I broke fingers, I broke ribs.
Wow.
Um, yeah, like it was pretty regular to be broken
Yeah.
after a few days of training. But that was, that was part of the gig, is we'd go into the mountains. On the way there, he'd ask me, what are these plants? What are these birds? What
Oh,
are these
wow.
tracks?
Wow,
And then
that's
we'd get in the
awesome.
spot, we'd make a fire, we'd make some tea so that we'd have a little tea when we were, because we'd be training in the mountains in the winter.
Yep.
We would train for a couple of hours, drink our tea, talk about what we saw. And then we would do a number of other games. We would do scouting games and survival games, and then
Uh-huh.
that would be training. So
Wow.
training was usually about 3 or 4 hours out of the day. Um, and so eventually I actually moved him into the house I was living in.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we just
Wow.
we trained every single day, and randomly, we'd be sitting there watching YouTube videos,
Uh-huh.
and be like, oh, I wonder if that would work. Like, I wonder if that would work. And be sitting there drinking some sake,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then all
yeah.
of a sudden, boom, we're up and we're trying this thing, trying to make this thing work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
and sometimes it'd be like, by the end of it, a little bloody or something,
Sure.
but
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
new ideas. And, because he was so free and open, when I told him I wanted to learn Krabi and Muay Baran, he said, well, yeah, where's the best place? Instead of him telling me, oh, don't go there, he was like, no, 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 let's make this happen.
Sure.
Um, so that was it. He was like, we found, I found Kruo,
Yep.
who
Yep.
teaches Krabi and Muay Baran,
Yep.
and Kruo is phenomenal, like just an amazing human being, man. Like,
And he's
I
funny.
he's hilarious. Like, oh my god, the stuff that he would do. Like, yeah, I went to every one of his classes for
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
just I
let
loved
me do this, bro. All right, man. I'm gonna do this. All right.
it.
I'm going to check it out. Can you see it?
Ahoy!
Ahoy,
Yeah,
there you go, right there. Look at
that's awesome. Yeah,
that.
man. This guy right here, this is Oren,
Yep.
and Crew Oren is hilarious too. He is an absolute comedian.
Uh-huh. Look
He
at
was
you,
telling
man,
a
getting your
joke.
sets in, dude.
Yeah.
Look at you, man.
all, all clean shaven.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah, that was the
man.
start. That was the start right there. I went and I did Cruo's morning class of Muay Baran. I did a
Uh-huh.
private in the afternoon, and then I went to his evening class for Krabi Karbong, and I trained kettlebell and body weight in between all of that.
Uh-huh.
And
Wow, dude.
like, I didn't party, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. I just trained my head off for 3 months between
Man.
there and Cambodia. And then, yeah, the next year I went back and did it again. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, such a great experience.
I
I'm
was
grateful for it, really.
Yeah, no, I was in Bangkok, Phuket, a couple other different places, undisclosed locations, obviously for military missions and so forth. And always, I have my fellow Marines want to get up there, and fight a Muay Thai fighter. They're thinking, oh, this little guy can't hurt me. And there was a lot of sessions where I had to use my medical training to save these Marines.
Oh, it's legit, bro.
Oh
That's
man,
legit.
it's so legit, bro. I mean, legit.
Yeah.
They egged me on one time. I went up there, and but it was fun. I mean, I won't tell you that I got my ass whooped, but but I did. I mean, seriously, these guys are, it's like a show. You're watching them, but then when you challenge them, it's like, okay, it's game on. It's like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, roundhouse right at to your freaking, thigh or shit, and you're done. It's like game over. Uh,
Oh, man.
and you're thinking,
Yeah,
what
well,
just happened?
they like to play. Like, I went the first year that I went there, I lived in the city. I lived for the first month and a half. I lived in Phuket in the Tiger Muay Thai camp.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then I had to do a visa run, so I went to Cambodia for a few weeks, and I trained there at Angkor Wat Fight Club,
Oh yeah.
which
Yep.
was also an amazing experience. I met some really cool people that I would have never otherwise got a chance to train with. And then went back to Thailand, And when we went back, I went to another gym called Simbi Muay Thai,
All right. Yep. Yep.
which was a
You have
lot
a
smaller.
video of that in here as well, I believe. You have, like I said, man, you guys got to check out his YouTube page, right? It's L.O.S. strategy. And that stands for,
Last one standing.
yeah, I love it. I love that name. I love it. And check out, he's got like over 90 videos, guys. Some it goes from martial arts to outdoors to uh, uh you know uh I don't know. You're doing stuff here that's just amazing. You're doing push-ups, pull-ups, you're doing bar work, you're sparring, you're training people. Guys, check out his YouTube page. He's got a lot there, and it'll spark your interest just like it sparked mine. This guy has got a vast wealth of experience and knowledge. You're talking Simbi, Tiger Muay Thai, PTK, and all these other things that this guy gets into. You guys got to check it out. All right, I'm intrigued. I watched every single video. I sat down one
Awesome.
day. I kept wanting to find out more, and you making a arrow from garbage. That was impressive.
Yeah. Well, that was my instructor that I met up island. He's a ninjutsu practitioner in the truest form.
Uh-huh.
It's like he makes almost everything that we use to train with. Rarely did he buy anything. He would, at one point, like when I met him, I was going to work in a boxing club to teach kettlebell and body weight. And the boxing club owner, he says to me, he's like, "Oh, I got this resident judo guy I want to introduce you to." And Frank, my instructor, comes out of the back and he's just kind of like really chill, like doesn't have any sort of bravado. He's just kind of like, really calm, really chill guy, really humble looking. And he's like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Frank." And I'm like, "What's up, dude? Like, how's it going?" He's like,
Uh-huh.
he says, "I don't know why he keeps telling everybody I'm a judo instructor." It's because he doesn't teach judo. He's like, he teaches throws, but he
Oh, I
doesn't
see.
teach judo, right?
Right, right,
And so,
right, right, right.
but the boxing coach didn't know the fucking difference. So
Yeah,
he says
right,
he
right.
called him the judo guy.
Oh man, yeah, dude.
And that,
I
and that was, like Frank was, he had this giant mind that only, could only be encapsulated from somebody that could see the whole thing. And that was it. Like we talked about for martial arts for a few minutes, and then within 5 minutes of talking, we're talking about tracking animals, and we're talking about camming up and sneaking up on
yeah,
creatures. We're talking about the whole thing. And I knew right away, I was like, I need to train with this guy. And when I met him, he was living off of, I think, like $200 a year.
wow.
Um,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
living in an abandoned trailer,
Uh-huh.
a little piece of property in the hills. And I would go train with him every week, and sleep out for the weekend, sleep on the dirt with them under the stars, and
Right.
make shelters if it was raining. And
Yeah,
then
man.
that was it.
Sneaking
That
up
just
sneaking up
grew.
to an animal, I think, is one of the greatest pleasures in life, man, to be able to, because we are not meant to be sneaky, right?
No, no, we're not set up for it.
We're not set up for it, but and
Yeah.
and that I'm into bows, but recently I reached out to you and I told you about bows, and I asked you, are you into traditional archery as well? And then you said, "Oh yeah, I've been doing that since I was a child, man." And I'm like, "Wow, this guy's exactly who I want to train with, and I want to spend some time with you." I mean, and then you sent me that video of you shooting the bow, and you're into recurves and longbows, and man, dude, you've done it all. You've got quite a experience is just vast, and that's a true warrior's journey, right? So, dude, I love it, man. So I'm gonna ask you your first question. All right,
Yeah, let's hear it, brother.
all right, man. What is a warrior to you?
Mm, that's a hard one.
Oh,
It's like I've seen so many debates online with people around that question. I For myself, it has to do with somebody that's going to war in a certain way. Like, it doesn't have to be a war in the traditional conflict sense with, weapons and blood and guts. It could be a battle in which they are fighting for the good cause.
Uh-huh.
Like, it could be somebody who is, like, let's say a hero. Somebody who, I was just talking to a friend the other day. There was a guy, this is crazy. There was a guy dressed up like a police officer, that wasn't a police officer here in town,
Mm-hmm.
that was harassing an old lady at the breakwater, trying to drag her into a car. And I know it sounds totally nuts, but the
Yeah,
crime rate
yeah,
here has gone through the freaking roof.
yeah,
So
yeah.
one of my friends, a little tiny lady, she's about 5'5", maybe 5'4".
Mm-hmm.
She sees what's going on. She recognizes that this guy's not a police officer. And she goes up and she starts pushing him away and telling him to go fuck himself and get away from this old lady.
Uh-huh.
Um, to me, she's using the warrior spirit.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely, brother.
like
Absolutely.
she saw somebody that needed help, and she put herself in harm's way to help that person.
Yeah.
Now, for me, to me, that's the warrior spirit. That's a person that has the ability, even though she's a mother of one, great son. She's
Mm-hmm.
also, has the ability to bring out that mama bear when it needs
Right,
to be.
right, right, right.
Um, so to me, that's warriorship.
Yep,
Because
yep.
you can be somebody that, has never seen blood and guts and still have the warrior spirit, in a way that somebody who has seen blood and guts might not have,
Right.
you know?
Let me do a follow-up question with that. What skills do you think a warrior should have? And that's kind of a tricky question because you can go in different holes with that, right? But
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
but what skills do you think a warrior should have or develop or look for? You know.
Well, I mean, it depends on the war you're in, like, if I am sneaking through mud huts, my skill set has to be of a certain nature.
Sure.
Um, my ability to execute orders that were given to me, have to be, I have to have the skill set for those orders. I have to, be able to do the thing,
Hmm.
so I think for prerequisites, it would be, a lot of it is in here. Um, like, I can have
Absolutely.
tactical ability. I can have the ability to line up on a target and put a hole in it.
Yep. Yep.
But, if I don't have the connection to here, I won't be able to pull that trigger in somebody's face.
Right.
Nor will I be able to go into a building that's on fire and
Right.
drag somebody out that needs my help. Um, when somebody's screaming and bleeding all over me, I won't be able to patch them up.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so I think that the prerequisite, most of it is in the heart and in the mind and the connection of the two. Now, that's just part of the triad, because we have the third, which is the physical. So I need to make it happen. I
Absolutely.
can have the will, I can have the thought, then I need the action. And it's that triad of everything, right?
Right, right, right. Now you're a pretty well-read guy. I mean, you've suggested books to me that are just awesome, and I've never read those books that you suggested to me, and I've dug deep into them, and they're phenomenal, man. So you read a lot, don't you?
Oh yeah, every day, man. I force myself to. I'm really dyslexic. So I have a problem with sequencing.
Hmm.
So I can't sequence things very well.
Hmm.
I couldn't. I should say I couldn't. I can now, but I couldn't. And so, from the age of about 15 till the age of about 21, I couldn't read.
Wow,
Like, I
really?
could, yeah. Like, you put a book in front of me,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't be able
yeah.
to read it. Even if you paid me, I wouldn't be able to read it more than a couple sentences at a time.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, it's
I
brutal.
mean, that's a. I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna try and but sometimes I feel I'm dyslexic. I mean, seriously, dude. When I sit there and I can't focus and the words don't come out right, it's just I'm like
Yeah.
finding myself reading it over and over and over again. I have some guys in my group that are like PhD candidates or got their doctorates, and they're highly educated. And sometimes when they break up, books and stuff like that, and I tell them I don't read books. They're like, what do you mean you don't read books? I'm like, I haven't read a book in such a long time. If they don't have pictures, I don't read it, man, because I just can't put the words together.
Yeah. Well, I should clarify. Most of the books I read are picture books.
I said, if nobody's reading it on a video, it's hard for me to like really comprehend. It takes me a long time to read a book. So, and sometimes, a year to read a 200-page book is too long for me. So,
Well, you know what I do is I make a point. I make a point every night before I go to bed for about half an hour to 45 minutes. I read. I got a
wow,
big stack of books beside the bed, and then
wow,
throughout the day, if I am not training, if I'm not teaching, or making food or cleaning or something like that,
yeah,
I'll read for a bit, even if it's just for like 15 minutes. Okay, especially the way I read. I often what I'll do is I'll read a paragraph or two, depending on what it is, and then I'll sit and think about it. Like
wow.
let me just do a shameless post here.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely, brother. Oh yeah, yeah. The two on Arlene's book. Yeah, yeah. I gotta get that. I gotta get a copy of that. How was that
I
book,
highly
man?
suggest. I highly suggest you do. I highly
Okay.
suggest everybody watching this to get this book.
Uh-huh.
If you like PTK, I'm pretty new. Like I've only been doing PTK for a couple of years,
Uh-huh.
but there's so much awesome in this book. I was reading it last night, and I'll flip open a page, um, and I'll just
Ooh,
I'll go through what she's written.
that's
And
juicy right there, man.
isn't that amazing?
That's
And
juicy right there, for
and I
sure.
will just think about all the different ways that this makes sense with
Yes,
movement.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm big into symbolism and patterns. And right away when you open that book, I see it and I felt it. It's like, oh yeah, my figure eights and my endless
Oh yeah,
flow. Yeah, for sure, man. That's it, man. And Tuhan Arlene is an educator by trade, uh,
right.
and she was a teacher for a long time. And there's another thing that me and her have in common. She's in the Navy as well as a Navy corpsman.
Um, yeah, yeah,
So now, she was a nurse, now educator. Now she's back to medicine. So I was a hospital corpsman in the United States Navy, and she is too now. So we have similarities, and you know what? They've always been nice to me. Arlene and Malcolm has always been nice to me. So uh, I look
yeah,
forward
man.
to, yeah, yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
you'll really dig it. I think you'll really dig it. Again, I only have a few years of experience, but it all makes sense to me.
Right
I
on.
really like the way she color codes our right and our left,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
so it's easy to figure out when she's setting up the diagrams.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, so I mean, for me, again, like when I read, I do read books that are just pages of just words.
Yep.
Um, but I do also read a lot of stuff like this, or like field guides. I've got a
Yes.
lot of animal
Yes.
tracking field guides.
Yep.
And so I'll just stare at the picture,
Uh
and I'll
huh.
think about the whole plethora of other information that's
Sure.
attached to it.
Yep. Yep.
I do a lot of visual stuff, and like in my mind, and
Yep. Yep. For sure.
so this book was great for that.
For sure. So follow on question, man, and this is even deeper than the first one, right? What is the role of a warrior in your eyes? What is the role of the warrior?
Well, I believe the warrior class has changed, in the sense that the warrior class has been divided up now. So I look at the warrior class like our policemen, our firemen, our life-saving ambulance folk.
Uh huh.
Um, these are kind of our new warrior class,
Yeah.
in the traditional sense. They keep us safe. They help us when we need it. They're trained specifically in these duties so that when they are needed, they can just go do the thing.
Right.
So for me, a warrior is somebody who is just that. It's somebody who is educated in their field, and able to and willing to step outside their comfort zone to help, where they can help.
Absolutely.
Um, because like you see like people who are, man, like, yeah, you see these people just run into fucking burning buildings and save
Yeah,
people's lives.
man.
You don't even know these people, and they run in there, they forget about their family, they forget about everything else that means something to them, and they go save that person. That
Right.
to me is a warrior, and I believe that their place in society, um, doesn't have the same appreciation as it should. Do you know what
Right,
I mean?
right,
Like,
right. Yeah, yeah, sometimes that happens, right?
yeah, I mean, that's for me, a warrior is somebody that, yeah, that will put them, like, it's a hero. It's somebody who will put their own personal safety aside, and they will fight for the just cause.
Sure. Is a warrior born or is a warrior made?
Oh, has to be made.
Has to be
Has
made.
to be. Has to be made. It has to be forged. Has to be forged through hardship.
Right,
Um,
right. I love that quote, dude. Forged through hardship. Man,
yeah.
that's training, brother. That's like getting it in, and that's like dedication. I mean, there's a lot of words that come into play with that
Oh
statement.
yeah.
Is
100%.
someone born more apt to be a warrior?
Life circumstances, physicality, physical constitution, things like that can definitely play into it. You know, like if you're born strong and your body's strong, um, and you don't have any sort of mental cognitive disabilities,
Sure.
there's a good chance that you will be more adept to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have seen a lot of skinny, not so smart, not even good looking
That's me,
people.
brother. That's me.
I don't know about that, bro. But you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah,
that, yeah,
absolutely.
I think anybody can do it. I think it's, and sometimes life circumstances, will push you towards that path.
Right.
You know, like we talked before. I
Mm-hmm.
think that because of the situations that you had as a youth, it pushed you towards that path, that warrior path. You know, and working in the corp, is going to be kind of, uh, strengthening that,
Right.
because you're there as a serviceman, you're there to help, and you know, anybody who works in that kind of service to others,
Yep.
um, like, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not highly religious, but I do, and have studied the Bible extensively.
Okay.
Um, and so I think of someone like Jesus as a warrior.
Right on.
Um,
Right on.
he went
Yep.
into the synagogues, flipped the tables.
Sure.
He told people how it was, and he was willing to die for his cause.
Wow.
Um, and
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
I feel it, bro. I feel it. No, I mean, I think you're a pretty wise guy, man. I mean, some of the words and some of the, the phrases that you tell me, it's to me is pretty intelligent, and you not only train yourself, but you train others as well. So if you were going to train a warrior, how would you go about doing that? And I know you teach a lot. So how do you train a warrior? How do you train someone to become a warrior? How about that?
yeah, and it depends on what they start with. You
Uh-huh.
know, I've had students who were really chill, kind of mousy dentist assistants.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
who
Yep.
never shed blood.
Yep.
I've trained guys that, you know, had, you know, tasted blood in violence. It really depends on where they start. I start with their mind. We'll do physical stuff because that's what they came to me for.
Mm-hmm.
But while
Mm-hmm.
they're doing the physical stuff, I'm working on their mind. I'm building their mind up the whole time.
Wow. That's interesting, because I've looked at many different fighters, boxers, wrestlers, and high level, competitive guys, and a lot of them say exactly what you just said, man. You build the mind, the rest will
Have to.
follow, right?
Yeah, have to, right? Because
Yeah.
the mind's going to be like, let's say they train with me once a week or twice a week. That's, you know, only a few hours a week. The rest of the week, they've got all these hours. If I don't train their mind, then they will revert back to what they do the most, which might be their job, which might be the TV show they watch, which might be their family life.
Right.
Whereas if I can get them on the right mindset,
Hmm.
then they will take that with them throughout the rest of the day while I'm not there.
Right. Right.
If I can, like really instill strong warrior morality
Sure.
and methodology in their study,
Right. Right.
regardless of where I am, dead or alive, in another country, in the woods, wherever. Those guys will build up their own, and they'll develop their own warriorship based on their own needs and their own
Uh-huh.
goals.
Yeah.
Because someone might come to me and he says, I want to learn how to fight better. Cool. What kind of fights do you want to learn? Like, do you want to learn how to box? Do you want to learn, like, do you want sport? Do you
Right.
want street level? Do you want there's just so many levels, right, that we can get to. But the thing that I want to focus on is their ability to do the thing when things suck. Like
Right. Right. Right.
I might choke him. I might get him in a rear naked and choke him, and I feel him tap, and I'll let go, and then I'll cover his nose.
Right.
And I'll feel him tap, and I'll let go, and I'll jam my fingernails into his gums and pull his head back and
Uh-huh.
resync the choke.
Hmm.
I want him to know that he is not as soft or her as they originally thought they were.
Sure.
They're not made out of glass. They
Yeah.
need to realize that. And I think that, a lot of that can come through the physicality, but it has to be with the combination of that and the mental game.
Right. No. Yeah.
And to
For sure.
build that heart. Like when we take our students and we make them sleep in a shelter in the woods in the winter that they build, and
Yes.
then get up the next morning and train smashing violence,
Right.
their
Right.
heart grows. Every time
Right.
you do that, your heart gets bigger, and
Absolutely.
the more we can create that triad of the mind, of the heart, and of the body, I find that the students that we do that with are always getting stronger. They always
Abs-
last longer, and they always go do better things in the world. They don't leave us and become a weirdo. They leave us and they go do good things wherever they go, um,
Absolutely, brother.
which is what
Yeah.
we want. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I mean, I was gonna ask you what tricks of the trade do you use to like harden these guys or get their hearts and their souls, toughen and become a warrior. But you've like spit it out like a couple of freaking different scenarios that you do, man. I mean, that's exactly why I'm drawn to you, bro. Because you have that warrior spirit and you know how to take it, but you also know how to give it. I think that's the hard part for most warriors is how to give it and share it and then be the be the trainer, be the one that molds this warrior to something, that they can be. But we have a saying in the military, bro, and you just kind of said that exactly. This saying that I automatically thought of, but you explained it in your version. And the phrase is embrace the suck.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. 100%, man. You have to. You got to get good with it. And it's like you got to realize that it's not going to kill you. And
Right.
I think that, like I trained with Patch Cavallaro
Yep.
last
Yep.
couple of years
Yep.
in the
Yep.
Philippines. And I really, one of the reasons why I connected with him right off the bat was because that same idea. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, good. And like, I was there during a hurricane the first year I went to Manila, and I was in Quezon City, and I was like, hey, how's it going, man? He's like, good. He's like, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I'm like, bro, I was like, I don't know if you know, but like the part of town is flooded. Like, there's like a foot of water outside, and the hostel I'm staying in, the kitchen's flooded, and the bath, everything's flooded. I was like, I don't know how the internet's even working right now. And he's like, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome, right? And we go down, we drive down to Ortega, and we meet up with a bunch of the rest of the guys, and wind and rain and bits of debris flying around, and we're out there doing the tri-V. And like I knew right away, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's cool.
It's really cool.
I don't know if you saw this, but we had the gathering of Tuhans, was that last year or a year and a half ago? And it was a time where, there were more opportunities for rain, right? And so the way I set it up, we were going to train outside and then we were going to transition inside, you know. But we were outside and you had all these people from all over the states, and Jared was there, right? I know Jared didn't train with us, but he showed up, and that was pretty cool because he diverted his flights and so forth to come down and say hello to us. But we had all these guys outside of the gym, right? And it started pouring rain. I mean, you can see that it was just getting these guys. I mean, it was raining from the bottom up, and he was yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys were swinging the stick, and they're like, the stick is starting to get slippery, and we had
Yeah.
different tuhans showing different things. And I was really impressed, man. All the tuhans. I mean, I'm pretty impressed by all of them anyways, but these guys did not show anything as far as we should stop training, it's better for the students. No, they all stepped up and they kept showing their stuff, and they not once did they have in their face saying, let's stop training, let's go inside. And then Grant Tuhan was there. He's like, keep going,
Yeah.
you know. And he's like, let the rain come, and I got a lot of video footage of that, and man, that was motivating, in the
Yeah.
military, we also have another saying: if it ain't raining, we ain't training, right?
Well, it's that whole idea of that extra 40%.
Yeah,
It's like
man.
we think the gas tank is empty, and it's not even close to being empty,
Right.
And we
Yeah.
got to remember that. It's like we can push the body to do crazy shit. Like, we were talking, a friend and I were talking about this the other day, is about the Olympics. And I watch the Olympics, and some people are like, oh, wow, look at how amazing these people are. They are amazing. Don't get me wrong. But when I see what they're doing, it reminds me what I can do. It
Mhm.
reminds me of what I can do with the right amount of training and dedication. As
Absolutely.
human beings, we are unbelievable creatures. We can do so much.
Absolutely, man. I completely agree with that, man. So my next question, brother. What's the difference between, or is there a difference between a warrior and a fighter?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they can be. What's interesting is I think that you can be both. I think you can be both. I think you can be both a fighter and a warrior. It depends on what you're fighting for. I think
Yeah.
like if you're fighting for cash, um, there's a good chance that when the situation arises in
Yep.
which you would really help, you might
Yep.
not.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but you can also be a warrior who fights and fights for a different cause. And when the situations arise, you'll still go and deal with the situation. And we look at UFC guys uh, often as the pinnacle of martial arts because of the way it's been marketed to us. And some of those guys in the UFC get kind of shit on when they don't live up to the expectations.
Sure. Yeah. Gladiator mentality, right?
Exactly. So I look at a guy like I don't know a lot of UFC stuff because I don't watch a lot of like TV.
Uh-huh.
But I know John Jones.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Yep.
appreciate his display of Muay Thai in the
A-
ring. I mean, he's
absolutely.
constantly showing how Muay Thai can be utilized with a strong ground game to crush guys.
Absolutely.
Um, Years ago, we had UFC here in Vancouver, just across the water from where I live, and John Jones was here, and he witnessed a purse snatcher,
Uh-huh.
um, and I'm pretty sure he put him in a triangle. He chased him down, he tackled him, and he put him in a triangle,
Yep.
and like a lot of we see it all the time online where something happens and people just pull out their phones so
Yeah.
they can record.
Right. Right. Their
And
instinct is to record versus
yeah,
do something about it,
that's
and
great. And
yeah.
and that guy, he had a fight like 4 hours later or something like that.
Yeah, I think I
So
read
like,
something about that, and
yeah,
and that's awesome, man, that he did that. So
yeah, I love that. Like I don't know him personally. I don't necessarily agree with some of his personal lifestyle choices,
sure. Sure.
But I do like that in the moment, all
Yep.
that other stuff didn't matter. He saw there was a problem, somebody needed his help. Boom, he got on it. And
Absolutely. Yep.
that I love.
Yep.
And that I really appreciate when I see that warrior spirit mixed with a fighter, a guy that will be kind to somebody that needs it.
Right. Right.
Because that's something that we, as warriors, because of our strength, we forget how it has to be balanced with kindness. It's the
Wow.
same when you have your grandchild over, your grandkids over.
Yep. Yep.
The kindness that you show them
Yep.
is on the same level that you would show violence to a person that tried to hurt them. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
it's the same yin and yang, that
Yeah,
same high
absolutely,
and
man.
low.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's profound right there, brother. I mean, and later on we're gonna play a little game called word association and kind of, kind of want to see what your mindset is with those, but we'll do that later. What I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah, okay.
curious about right now is that you're a warrior, and not only a warrior, but you're also a fighter. I see it. I feel it, right? I want to see some of it, man. Can you appease me and do like maybe a 30-second Karenza or something? You can choose any weapon that you have in your room right now. And dude, it's all on you, man. I'm giving you 30 seconds to do what your thing, brother.
Okay, I'll do a slow Karenza
Uh-huh.
with this was this was given to me on my birthday in the Philippines after I taught a class.
Wow, is that Kamagong?
It sure is, brother.
Oh man, that's beautiful, brother. Look at that
Oh, I
carving
love it.
on that
Oh,
hilt.
yeah, so nice. I know I was really stoked. It's I have a lot of training knives. This is probably one of my more favorites because I love the feeling of it.
Yeah, I've never
It
seen a wooden knife carved that way. I've seen many different styles, but that's pretty cool because it's got the little design on the hilt there, and
yeah.
the blade looks phenomenal, dude.
Yeah, he did it. It was pretty cool. It was given to me by a guy that works some sort of security at the airport that I had trained. Patch had me train a class for my birthday
Uh-huh.
with
Uh-huh.
his group, and yeah, and he was one of the members of the class. And after he gave this to me, and I've been really honored to have it ever since.
That's so
Um,
awesome, bro. You know, one thing
yeah,
I want to say before you do your Karenza, bro, is that there's so many different there's so many experts and not and martial artists in the Philippines that I wish I had the time to just talk to every one of them so the world will see we have a lot
yeah,
of talent in the Philippines, man.
lots,
Lots.
lots.
And you mentioned a few already, but man, there's so many more. And these are the ones that are like the pioneers in FMA, and you hear these words and these names and you're like, wow, I want to train with that guy. I want to see how he flows and so forth. So
Yeah. I suggest that everybody needs to go there. Anybody that's training martial arts, period, any kind of martial art, whether it's Muay Thai, boxing, got to go to the Philippines and enjoy the martial spirit that is there within the culture.
absolutely,
It's,
brother.
it's the same as Thailand. When I go to Thailand, it's the martial spirit is in everybody. You're in the
Yep.
back of a tuk-tuk, and that
Yep.
guy's got 500 fights. It's like the people in the Philippines deal with a type of life that us Westerners have no understanding of. And
Ah,
seeing
absolutely.
that as a people, and seeing how they're still extremely kind, extremely friendly and giving, that is a lesson in itself.
Absolutely, man. I just talked to Tuan Jay about that last night about the hospitality and the giving mentality of the Filipinos, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, dude, I got some gold put away right now that
Uh-huh.
is that as soon as they open up the borders and stuff, I'm
Yep.
going to sell the gold and I'm going to buy a ticket and I'm going to go back to Manila.
Awesome,
I
dude.
cannot wait, man.
I'll go with you, man. Just let me know when.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be so fun.
All right, brother. It's your time,
Oh,
man. Show us what you got, bro. Here we go. Ooh, nice switch. Nice. That switch is smooth. Look at that. Oh yeah. Ooh yeah. Take off right there. I like it. Yep. Nice. Dude, that's awesome, man. Man, that
I was
was
watching.
smooth. That was
I was
smooth,
watching
bro. I mean,
Tuhan Tuhan Kit
uh-huh.
at the last PTTA gathering.
Uh-huh.
I watched him just totally macerate a buddy of ours in
Oh,
stick fighting,
really?
and it stuck with me ever since. So
Uh-huh.
what I saw he was doing a lot of is he right hand, right shoulder load, right hand.
Yep, yep.
This one at number one,
Uh-huh.
he'd throw a 2
Yep.
or a 12 to 6.
Yep, yep, yep. Yep.
And so I'm like, I'm always trying to do that with my knife. I'm thinking I'll throw
Uh,
this at these guys, and so they get used to this.
sure.
And number 2,
Yep, 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 yep.
pass, grab,
That
cut,
switch,
pass,
that
grab.
switch that you just did right there, man, is amazing. Man, do that again, man. That switch that you just did from saksak to pakal. Yeah, that's deadly right there, brother. Switching off. Yeah. And you know what? I
Yeah, and
think
that was another one of those things I picked up from Two on Kit was he was showing this
the switch.
roll
Yep, yep, yep,
and then this preacher pass.
yep. I think that's valuable training, man, and get into your toolkit as far as switching, with the blade. I think that's awesome, man. I think that's something that people should train more.
Well, and it for me, it's like a lot of the range. Like I like to play a lot in Largo and Media, but I like to do a lot of Corto. Like a lot of what I train is clinch fighting.
Yep,
So I
yep,
mix the Muay Thai with Jared's Tricom,
yep,
and I mix
yep,
that with wrestling.
yep,
So I find I'm in that situation. I go to thrust, and he's
yep,
grabbed
yep,
or
yep,
he's hacked,
yep,
and maybe I can't grip break like with a knee with a shin strip. I can't
yep.
break it.
Uh-huh.
So instead, I pass.
Pass.
He lets go of
Yes.
the hand. Then I'm in close enough range to grab a hold of him.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
what? He stops this one. No
Yep.
problem. I pass and I grab.
Well, that's
Pass and
exactly it.
grab.
That's exactly it right there, man. I mean,
Yeah,
that is the counter to the counter, right? So
that's right.
if
Well,
you could pull it off, that's a wonderful move, right? And if you don't, and you get disarmed, well, then you gotta resort to something else. I mean, that's the
yeah,
beauty about a fight, right? You use your mind and your heart into getting to the what I call the upper level of counter to recounter, recounter
yes,
to the recounter, and back to the
that's right.
counter. So that's the chess game, and you see that a lot in BJJ. When they
Yes,
roll and you do, you counter for counter, and you move from one area, and then you basically strategize to set and counter and to finish. And
yes.
that's a lot in PTK, and with the knowing Grant Tuhan and how he thinks, uh, and I've been lucky to spend a lot of time with Grant Tuan, and kind of listening to his philosophy and a lot of his mentality. But that's exactly how Pikiti Tarsha is designed. Is into the higher level of recounter to recounter. To
Yeah,
be able to hone the mind into your attributes, your instinctive movements and precision, and your speed into do it. That's exactly it. And
it's
knife work,
huge.
develops that. Especially when you play live blade. I mean, I don't, and it's not for everyone, right? And you got to look at the laws of the different states and so forth. But live blade makes you comfortable, you know, in handling uh, uh, a potentially dangerous weapon. I think it kind of cultivates the heart and the mind a little bit, when we do live blade training. But man, the switches that you did, bro, is smooth, man. It's
Well,
very smooth.
the details get lost in the wooden knife,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yep.
Um, how like my instructor, we would do disarms really slowly with live blades
Yep. Yep.
when I first started with him, and it was just so I had again, we'd go really slowly, but it was so that I could have an appreciation of, where to put my hand, where
Sure.
not to put my hand, being aware of this line of attack,
Absolutely.
and so I think that I definitely think that live blade has an extremely large part in this bladed art,
Yep.
because like
Yep.
I can hit with my stick, but unless I'm doing cut testing,
Uh-huh.
unless I'm testing cutting with a live blade, my edge alignment could be all crazy. I might be,
Absolutely.
I might be able to hear
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
all these years I've been hitting people with a stick, and I wouldn't even have known it, until
Right.
you go to cut something that will give you some sort of feedback. Like we would take fern, and we would wrap fern around a stick and then
Yep.
plant that in the ground,
Yep.
and then use our wakazashis to cut through it.
Yep. Yep. For
Um,
sure. Yeah. I
and that
mean,
would help us understand that.
yeah, and when a lot of stick work, because that's what we do now, right? It's a lot of stick work. That's what the rattan is for. That's why it's implemented into Filipino martial arts. But sometimes, you forget where your knuckles are, right? Because you just it's just a stick, right? It's just a stick. But if you have the blade mentality, I'm gonna throw out my philosophy out there a little bit. Um, if you always think that you can separate the stick versus the blade, um it's difficult for me to think about two different things at the same time. It's too
Right,
complex. So if I
right.
think the greater of the two,
Yeah,
blade, then it's
yeah,
always appropriate whether it's a stick or a blade, right? But if I always
yeah,
think stick, then I pick up a blade, well, the blade is completely different because it's not round, right? So
yeah,
so
yeah,
you know
yeah.
so those are
And the
the
weight's totally
attribute
different.
building that I think we do, as martial artists, kind of think about that stuff. Just like you said, you read a paragraph and then you
Yeah,
think about it, right? But same thing when I teach, I give these guys something, a flow or something, and I make them think about it, and let them come up and with their own creativity, their own idea about how it should go, and then we flow it out, and then it's just a wonderful thing when you see in their heads, it's like light bulb. Yep, my knuckles got to be
yeah.
this way, and when you say luwak, it's got to be, oh, wait a minute, it's not the blade to blade, it's the side of the blade back into the one,
Uh,
so yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, that I love it, dude. I mean, that's what draws me to Pikiti Tarshakali. It's just that's how Grand Tuan trained me. With the blade mentality and not the stick mentality.
Yeah.
So because I did other Filipino martial arts in the past. That wasn't really focused on the blade. And I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm just saying it was a different mentality. The and I still train it in that way sometimes, where you do a roof and you grab the stick and you disarm by taking the arm, but if I was a blade, you wouldn't be able to do that, so,
Right.
and it's tough for the mind in a quick reactionary thing to differentiate stick and blade, right?
Yeah.
But that's just my philosophy, man. I mean,
I think that's good. I think it's good. I train both for that reason. Like I'll train. I train a lot of spear and a lot of staff,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's similar, right? Because it's like I use my spear and I use my staff the same way, but one of them has a blade on the end and the other one doesn't.
Right.
And so I'm constantly trying to find the formulas that are in the middle,
Right. Right.
that I could do with either or. Like if I focus on the edge of a stick, I think about striking with this edge here with my stick.
Yeah.
If I'm using it like a staff, that's
Right.
gonna be the same if I have a blade on it.
Right. Right. For sure.
And so I'm with you on that. As I definitely try to find the one that is going to cause me the most issue and then work with it.
Yep.
you know, and that came up a lot with the disarms that we were doing with Frank with the live blades, was
Yep.
like, okay, well, you know, how can we grab this? How can we, like, where's the best place for my body to be? And let's say we get into this clinch situation with a knife, and now one of us is going to go for a takedown. Where is that blade?
Sure.
Where,
Absolutely.
how am I holding it? Because if I'm holding like this,
Yep.
when it falls and it jams, it's going to cut. If
Yep.
I'm holding it flat, or if I'm pancaking it like this,
Yep.
there's a less chance of it cutting me, and
Yep.
I'm still be able to hold on to it.
Yeah. No, you're
Like,
absolutely right, man. I mean,
I think a lot of it is
blade culture is both ways, right? Blade
right.
culture is both offensive and counter offensive, right? So you have to understand the other person's blade and where, you know, in relation to the cut side, you know, and if you're talking dual edge, then, you know, you got to know that, because, you know, some
Yeah, seriously,
you can't
man.
just grab that shit, you know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
have to
Well,
be,
it's the same when we do any firearm stuff, right? It's the same way.
oh yeah, man,
Like
for sure.
we train with I'll show you actually. You know, we'll use a longer barrel
Yep. Yep.
against a short
A
barrel.
shorter barrel, right? No,
Just
you're
for that reason.
absolutely right, man. I get you exactly right now. I mean, see, I'm very visual, man. And
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
showed me
yeah.
that, I knew exactly what you were thinking and how you were going with it. I'm like, you're absolutely right. I mean, seriously. And you know, being having warrior mindset, you gotta be ready for the unexpected, as you said
Okay.
earlier. You know,
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
uh my name here that I use for Combat Warrior Academy, you can see the dots, right? And you know what that means because you're a PTK practitioner. Counter on motion before attack time, right?
Yeah.
That goes more in depth with just the words, right? You're talking preparation, the mindset
Yeah.
all the time. You're talking about training your skills to be ready for the unexpected. That's what combat means to me, you know, and that
Yeah.
I wanted to, and that's ingrained to me with Grant Tuan, because he would tell me, let's do Sabayan, and he would break it off and do something else. And I'm like, I wasn't ready for that. He's like, you got to be ready for that, you know, because that's the trickery. Every Filipino martial artist are really good at what I call engaño, all right, which is, you know, there's some techniques out there in PTK. It's called engaño. It's the trickery, right? It's weapon
uh,
contact versus non-weapon contact. It's the
yes. Yeah.
trickery of the counter that baits the guy into making
Yeah.
him do what you want. He goes, Jesse, if you don't think like that, I'm gonna hit you in the head every time. I'm like, I don't want to get hit in the head, you know. So he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, don't
totally.
assume that this guy is gonna take it easy on you, right? No,
Yeah, yeah.
see it for what it is, right? So you'll combat,
Yeah,
counter
I
on
dig it.
motion before attack time. Be
Yeah.
ready, you know, whether it's firearms, whether it's knives, whether it's stick, whether it's CBOT, whether it's hand to hand, you know. So, oh man, I'm telling you, man, every time Grant Tuan used to hit me, I used to recall childhood experiences because it was so profound. You know, because when I did this, I used to get whipped, you know, by my father, my grandfather. You know, I'm like, that's exactly it. So you know, I got to learn not to do what I'm not supposed to do at the time, right? But
Right.
that's mindset. You know, that's
Oh, man.
experience. You know, that's training.
And that's the train. And I think, we were talking earlier about just, the reactive, the being able to adapt. And I think a lot of that comes from sparring and pressure testing things.
Absolutely.
I always, I had, like, we come back to the triangle again, I think, like, the way I teach is I teach forms, I teach drills, and then I teach some sort of pressure, which is usually sparring.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
between those three different places, the student and myself will often learn whatever it is,
Uh
and
huh.
like, the stuff with, like, the knife passing. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I didn't understand how valuable it was until I got grabbed.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
Until I wanted to sink this in,
Yep.
but he, like, jammed me
Jammed you
here.
in.
He had a hold of my head. And he was pulling me down, and then I just did this instinctively and stabbed into his femoral, grabbed his leg, put my shoulder against the hip, went for a single leg takedown, and then finished.
And
And
you
that
know
was,
what, man? You cannot teach that without letting the student feel it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
you just
Exactly.
did it. You just did it because, and you, as you were talking about it, I watched you and you were feeling it versus just talking about it. There's a
Oh
difference,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. And that's one of those things like Musashi talks about. He's like, create your, find a way to make your everyday into your training.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like, regardless of what I'm doing throughout my day, is if I have the same level of focus, intent, and adaptability, it'll allow me to navigate other situations a lot easier. I mean, I had a
Yeah.
guy a few months ago try to mug me in front of a bookstore, like, it
Uh-huh.
was like months ago or something. And he didn't realize I was watching him right from the get-go.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he didn't
yeah, yeah.
realize, he thought he was sketchy. He didn't realize how sketchy I am. And so I was like, I might look normal, but I am watching everybody.
That's combat, brother. That's combat.
Exactly. Exactly. And like, that's the thing. It's like, I think that the more we can build that into our students and into ourselves, the better we get, whatever our craft is, whatever the
Yeah,
craft is, we get better at it. Like, coming back to what I was talking about, like my instructor building things.
yeah,
Um, I wanted this buckler, like a little shield for training.
yeah.
And I was telling him, I was on the internet and I was looking at it. I was like, oh, this looks so cool. I want one of these, but they're $40 and I'm poor and I don't want to spend $40 on it.
Sure, sure.
And so I go to work. I worked at a gym and I was like, I'm off to work. And it's a 17-kilometer walk to work, and it's a 17-kilometer walk home.
So,
And
let me just stop you there for a second. You know I'm from United States, right? So when you tell me
yeah,
when you said 17 kilometer, I'm thinking to myself, is that inches? Is that
how far is that?
I gotta
Totally.
I gotta translate that into miles, I mean, how long is
Maybe I'm not the best with miles, but I think it'd be about 12. I think it'd be about 12 miles.
yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, it's lesser, in miles than it
Yeah,
is in
it
kilometers. So
is. And it was a bit of a journey. So I went and I taught for a few hours, and
yeah,
then I walked home. So it's about a 2 hour walk there, about a 2 hour walk home.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, I use that time to do a lot of thinking and stuff. And I get home, and he's got one buckler made, and he's making another one, and
Wow.
he's making them out of bowls and garbage that he's found in the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
man. Yeah, dude. That's how we did it back in the old ancient days, right? We just picked up
Right?
whatever it was and created it, whether it be wood or trees or something, right? I mean, that's how
Yeah,
weaponry came about, right? Your surround,
exactly.
your environment, like you talked about earlier, you got to learn your environment. And that's why I like going out in the woods. You like going out in the woods, and see
Yeah,
what the environment has for you. And what people has to know is that the environment is so resourceful. There's so much there that we forget sometimes, though, living in a city and so forth, because we throw away a lot of stuff, right? And
yeah,
take it for granted. But out in the woods, you can't take anything for granted. Everything is a tool or a material, a resource for you. So I love it,
yeah,
man.
exactly. And the more we can translate that same thing. It's like, cool guy that I like to learn from online, David Canterbury,
Yep. Yep.
is the Pathfinder School.
Yeah.
Just an amazing teacher. I learn a lot from him, and I remember him talking about the 5 C's of survival.
Absolutely.
And I started seeing that everywhere. When I first learned that, I started seeing it everywhere I went. So I was walking through the city, and I take a lot of, because I walk a lot, I ride my bike a lot, I take a lot of alleys. And so
Yep.
I'll be walking down the alley, and I'm just like, okay, there's this thing, there's this thing, there's this thing. I need everything I need for survival is right here. Like,
Right. 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 For
right
sure.
here.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
the same as when we go to the woods. It's like we walk out there, and I'm like, I can recognize the different trees I need to create different things with,
Sure.
right away. And it's
Yep.
the more we can build up on that awareness,
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
the better our martial arts get, the better everything.
Absolutely. the complete package, right? Not just part of the package. It's a complete package, right? So
100%.
I think so.
Yeah.
Man, dude, we're flowing pretty good, man. I love it, dude. And but I got a few more questions for you, man. And
Yeah, it's here, brother.
yeah, so I think let's play that word association game now. I think it's a good time to do it. So this, I'm gonna say a word, and you tell me how it applies to a warrior. Okay.
Okay, okay.
All right. So first one, confidence.
Ooh, you got to know your move will work, and you got to know if your move won't work.
Oh, I love it, dude. That's so simple, man. I love it, dude. That's exactly it, man. Oh, I love that answer, bro. All right, next word, strength.
Yeah, if you don't have strength, how can you make it work? You know, like don't get me wrong. Okay, when I train martial arts, and I'm learning a new technique, I ask myself, can I do this when I'm hurt? Can I do this when I'm broken? Can I do this when I'm sick? Can I do this when I'm old?
Right.
And if I cannot do any of these things,
Uh-huh.
like if I'm like, okay, well, the stick, let's say it's a stick technique, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this when I'm old. I'm like, okay, maybe something has to change.
Right.
So because I no longer have the strength to break through his four wall,
Yup.
now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break his strength. I'm going to throw dirt in his face, and then I'm
There
going to
you
hit
go,
him.
man. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
gonna yell something about his family. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, is that your mom right there?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
for
hit
sure, man. Yeah, no, yeah.
his strength if I don't have my own strength.
Yeah. No, I love it. Dude, that's yin and yang, right?
100%.
Yeah,
He
brother.
gets big, I
Yep.
shrink.
That's
He
right.
shrinks, I get big.
That he goes high, you go low. He goes low,
Yeah.
you go high. No, absolutely, man. That's it. That's called engaño, by the way. All right.
Ganyo.
Yeah, man. Uh,
Ganyo.
here's
Like
the next
that.
word. Here's the next word. Aggressiveness.
Which can be useful and can get you in a lot of trouble. You know,
That's definitely situational, right?
yeah, it's very situational and it can change really quickly. It's a very
Absolutely.
double-edged sword that way.
But you said it, man. You said it earlier. You know, my mentality for showing love to my grandchild to where my aggression level, right? You have to know the situation to where, which do you bring out at that situation?
Yeah,
Aggressiveness, So no, man, I feel you, bro. Next
yeah.
word, discipline.
Without it, um, your goals will be met regardless of you knowing what your goals are. So if your goal is to have a heart attack and you sit on the couch, you are aggressively working towards that goal.
That's a great analogy, man. That's awesome analogy, bro. I love it. That's that's
Yeah, you
that's
know,
that is
that's
very thought provoking, man. That analogy right there is very thought provoking.
I
Seriously.
mean, every day we're habitually doing things. You know, we pee around the same time, we brush our teeth around the same time, we all these things. And it's like it's habit forming towards a goal that we may not be aware of.
Right.
Like
Right.
every moment that we do something is towards a goal.
Right.
And it might be one that we want or not want. And yeah, you know, if we are disciplined in our practice towards the goal that we want, all we have to do is just keep going and we will reach it.
Absolutely, man. 100% absolutely agree with you, brother. All right, last word, man. And I think this is depends on how you look at it, the easiest or the hardest. All right. Weakness.
Ooh. Well, you know, as far as the warrior, the weakness should be found. It should be sought out. It should be studied, and it should be changed into a strength. Um,
Absolutely.
when I first started PTK, my footwork was based primarily on Muay Thai and judo-based footwork,
Uh-huh.
um, which isn't that much different. It's
Hmm.
not that much different, but there was some variations that I needed to focus on in order to create the movements that I wanted, in order to land them where I wanted them to land. And
Absolutely.
that was something that I had to look at. And I think weakness when it comes to warriorship is one of the hardest because We want to feel strong, so we focus on our strengths.
Yep.
My instructor, Frank, he had a saying that he would tell new students, and he would say, lose every day. Find something that you suck at every day and get better at it. Find that weakness, seek it out, find that crack, and fill it with the strongest mortar possible.
Absolutely.
So I think that's important.
Man, that's warrior mindset, brother. If you are going to be a warrior and you claim to be a warrior, that's the mindset that you have to have. I mean,
Yeah.
100% agree with you, bro.
Yeah.
That's yeah, man. See, I mean, me and you can talk for days and years about this stuff, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I think we will campfire one day, bro.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, you have an open invite to come to the academy or me go to you or whatever. But man, let's come together, bro, as man to man walking a path, and let's share ideas and let's talk about stories and let's drink tea and coffee and be respectful to one another and grow positively, you know, in our own minds, in our own journey. So you have an open invite, brother.
Yeah,
Anytime, man. You
brother.
just call me up, say, hey, Jesse, I'm coming down. I'm like, shit, I'm coming to pick you up. So
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
so I got a few more questions, bro. All right. So this next one may be a little difficult because there's so many out there. But who is the greatest warrior that you know of?
Well, that I know of,
Yep.
I would say it would be Frank. I know him. I've seen him under so many different kinds of pressure. I've seen him under emotional pressure.
Uh huh.
Like the hardest pressure, right? When it comes to the heart. I've seen him under physical pressure. I've seen him broken, and I stabbed him in the mouth one time with a metal knife
On
when
on
we're
purpose?
just mucking around. No, no, I was just we were fucking around. I
Yeah.
stabbed
Yeah.
him in the face, and it's
Wow.
like, and it like, it cut his gums and it cut his lip,
Oh wow.
and I was waiting to take a beating. I thought I was going to take a beating over that.
Right.
And seeing how calm he is and regulated he is all the time inspires me to use the same balance with everything that I do.
Right.
And for me, that's why I would say he would take that space,
Hmm.
because there's so many powerful warriors that I know in all parts of the world, like yourself. There's these people that I know that are living their truth and sharing it with the world. But he's the only one that I know in person that I've seen, like I've been there with him when he gets the news about some really heavy shit, and
Right.
seen how he reacts. He doesn't just bury it. He acknowledges it, understands it, and then utilizes it like fuel for his training, utilizes like fuel for his study.
Love it.
And for me, that inspires me every day.
I love it, dude. And the last question, man, and this is, I'm going to be listening carefully. All right. So, based on your journey as a warrior, as a mentor, and as a leader, what advice would you give to the warriors going through their journeys?
There's a few things. One thing that I often tell myself when things get shitty um, is they can always get worse. Appreciate what we have in the moment. If I'm sleeping in a hole in the woods and it starts raining on me, um, that's crappy, but I
Hmm.
know it could be worse.
Yeah.
I could get eaten by a wild animal.
Right. Right.
And so that gives me the appreciation of that hole and the rain that's coming down, because maybe I could be in the desert and it could be too dry.
Right.
Find the positive and focus on it. It's too easy to find the negative and look at it. Whereas, there's always, in every situation, there's a glimmer of light.
Right.
And if we focus on it, it'll light up the whole room. We just have to remember that and to apply that to our training and to
Man,
see it in other people.
that's gold, brother. That's gold. Man.
Yeah, keep you going, brother.
Yeah, man. Because you know what? In the academy, we preach what I call PMA, and it stands for positive mental attitude. That's exactly what you just
Yes,
said right now, brother. You know, the
it's
positivity, and then
important.
yeah, and also to transfer that as respect for yourself and for others. I mean, you're
Mhm.
dude, your words, man. For you guys that are listening, you guys need to look up Darcy. All right, this man's a warrior. He's very profound. All right, I will put links of his YouTube channel and his Facebook page on this description of this video. But you guys, you can see how we flow. You know, this guy has the same warrior spirit that I've been looking for, you know, and that's why I'm drawn to him. That's why I'm talking to him. You know, this guy's got a lot of knowledge. He can drop a lot of information for you guys. Check him out. You will not be sorry. But Darcy, man, thank you so much for sitting down. And I told you, man, we could probably sit here and talk for days and years, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you, sir. In Tagalog, maraming salamat for sitting
Uh,
down with me. You know, yes,
thank you, sir.
and just dropping wisdom, you know, to whoever's listening here, because you have said so many things that resonated with me, and the warrior spirit that I'm looking for. You know, not only are you highly skilled, but your mind is sharp. You know, your mind is sharp, brother. So I
Thank you, sir.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, and I would love for you to come down to the academy and teach us what you know, from anything to nothing to everything.
I would feel so honored to do that one day.
Oh man, we'll make it happen, brother. There's warriors are, I believe, are drawn together. You know, when they have the journey that is similar to your, you know, to your journey, there's this cosmic thing that happens where they're drawn together and then make each other better and stronger and more knowledgeable about other things. And I think that's warriors tend to, you know, stick together and play together and share ideas together. So
Oh
I
yeah,
love it.
100%, man. Iron sharpens iron.
Ah, that's it, brother. I couldn't have said it better than you, man. So, everyone, this is Coffee with Chief, talking with Darcy from Canada, a true warrior in every aspect, you know. So, thank you very much. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I will be talking to more warriors just like Darcy. And I don't know how it's going to get any better than Darcy, because, you know, he's pretty good,
Oh,
right? So, again, Darcy, thank you very much. I
thank
truly
you, sir.
appreciate it. And as we say in Academy, combat.